Now that LS has been officially announced as the 2022 head coach of Cloud9, everyone is starting to come out with all their different hot takes, opinions, whatever going forward for the future. And there's no problem with that. I mean, that's something that I do a lot on this channel, something I'm going to continue to do, something that's fun and entertaining. It's part of why so many people love, competition, sports, whatever in general, because we all have what we think is going to happen in our head. We make our predictions, we make our assumptions, and then we see how it actually plays out. And then some people end up looking really smart, some people end up looking really dumb, and it's just this whole experience. So people are saying how they think Cloud9 is going to do, how they think LS is going to do, how they think all the players are going to do, all this stuff. And it's very, very interesting. It's very entertaining. I think it's a really, really cool time. But now some people are also kind of, looking back at things that LS has said in the past, some of his own hot takes about a member on Cloud9 specifically. We're talking about Blabber and where he has rated Blabber previously and what this could possibly mean going forward for LS, the Cloud9 roster organization headed into 2022, but also potentially the future of the North American superstar jungler. That's what we're going to be talking about in this video today. So definitely drop a like if you guys do enjoy it. I would appreciate it so much. And subscribe to stay up to date on all my latest content. We're trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. That'd be absolutely awesome. But with that being said, let's get right into this. There was this tweet that came out. I don't know who this guy is. Team director and head coach for Movistar Riders. Harj. I don't know how you pronounce that, but he said LS claiming that he has to go back-to-back NA champs and semifinals at Worlds to meet his goals is some next-level confidence. I can't help but feel he's setting himself up for failure, and I really hope he can handle the pressure. Good for us all if he succeeds, but I can't see it personally. Now, I get what he's saying on one hand. LS is setting some very, very high expectations. He wants to be a back-to-back LCS champion, and he wants to make it to semifinals and Worlds at, in his very, very first season as a Cloud9 head coach. And he said that, if they're not able to do that, he's going to see the year as a disappointment. And that's cool. You want your coach to come in confident. You want your coach to be saying good things. You want your coach to believe in your team and players and everything. But also at the same time, you need to have realistic expectations. This Cloud9 roster has a ton of moving parts. They have a ton of new faces. They have some young and inexperienced players. They have a mid laner who's never played mid, at least to my knowledge, in competitive, maybe like one game. They have a young AD carry. They don't even know who their starting support is. LS obviously hasn't been a coach in a couple of years now. And there's a lot of good teams around the world. There's a couple pretty good teams in the LCS. There's all this different crazy stuff. And you don't want to, it's a balancing act because you want to have lofty goals and expectations that you're working for. But you also don't want to set yourself up for failure. But at the end of the day, I don't agree with this too much because, you want your coach coming in and kind of shooting for the stars. But Peter Dunn did reply to this. He said, C9 went first in spring, third in summer, quarters at Worlds. He wouldn't be taking the job if he didn't think he could do better. That's something I talked about in my AMA video yesterday. Totally agree with that. I think it's a great point by Peter Dunn. But what he did say, and this is where things start to get interesting. This is where some of the drama comes in and more of the story comes in. He says, the funniest thing about the response was not the ambition, but the Blabber thing, given that this was only a few months ago. Now, what he is talking about is in his AMA, LS said that some of his goals for the year, win back-to-back titles, make it to semifinals at Worlds, have Fudge become the best Western mid laner, and have Blabber become the best Western jungler. And again, very, very good goal. Fudge, obviously a talented player. He's a new mid laner. If Fudge can become the best Western mid laner, Cloud9's going to be in a good spot. But if you want to make it to the semifinals at Worlds and win back-to-back titles, you're going to need Fudge to be at least in the conversation for best Western mid laner, probably. And then also you have Blabber. This guy has won 2 out of the last 4 MVP awards. He has all the talent, potential, intangibles. He has everything in the world. He just hasn't been able to put it together consistently. So you have a very, very talented player who seems coachable, who seems willing to work on his shortcomings and his mistakes and everything. And then you have LS, claiming to be this awesome, great coach, and we'll see how that turns out or whatever. But that does seem like an amazing combination. A player that is a little rough around the edges with some flaws, but surely some talent, and a good coach coming together, they should be able to make something special. So again, I think it makes a ton of sense what LS is saying, that he wants Blabber to be the best jungler in the West. And I think that's absolutely possible given, some of Blabber's track record. I've been critical of Blabber in the past because, he hasn't shown up all the time at international events. He hasn't shown up in Summer Split even all the time, even in the LCS. But this clip is still pretty funny. I've actually made a video about this clip before. If you go back on my channel, it's called LS calls out Blabber or something like that. And it was a very, very hot take from LS. I did not agree with what LS was saying at the time. I still don't agree with what LS was saying. But when you watch this clip in the context that LS is now Blabber's head coach, he's now the guy saying that he thinks Blabber can and will be the best Western jungler in 2022, it gets a little bit more interesting. So let's take a look at this clip. This is LS ranks Blabber compared to EU junglers. This is from June 17, 2021. Again, 6 months ago. Obviously, things have changed. We had Summer Split, we had Worlds, we had a lot of things going on, but this was not all that long ago that LS said this on stream.
Really good anything in NA. I mean, you look at NA's like current best player, like relative to its role. Well, okay. Blabber is considered like the best jungler that NA has, but Blabber is not. I don't even think you'd probably. I don't even. Yeah, I mean, I don't even think Blabber would be top 5 in EU. Right? You have Inspired, Self-Made, Elioya. Hold on, I'm blanking. Yankos. I guess maybe he's. You know, who knows? Propo's maybe even better now. Honestly, like this is rough. It's rough times. Bripo is probably better. It's actually rough. Yeah, that's NA's best jungler.
So, obviously, not the kindest of words there. Him coming out and saying, that's NA's best jungler. He's saying that he wouldn't be top 5. He's ranking him as the 6th best European jungler. Now, in the context, at that point last year, Europe was seen as a much, much better league than the LCS. So, by saying, all European players are better than all LCS players, that wasn't such a hot take. Now, obviously, we go on to Worlds and see that as a whole, the LCS probably had a better performance at Worlds than the LEC. And yes, there's not a ton of North American players on the LCS teams. I think there was a total of 3 NA players on the LCS teams. But still, the LCS players didn't do bad. I don't think Blabber had a bad Worlds. I don't think Vulcan had a bad Worlds. For some reason, I cannot remember who the last North American player was. But I don't feel like the NA players did that bad as a whole at Worlds. And yeah, so, I mean, that's just kind of where we are at as far as that goes. But really, really funny. Obviously, again, just a few months ago, LS coming out and saying this against Blabber, and now he is going to be Blabber's head coach. Now, again, this could be really, really good, or this could really be bad for Blabber. Because, again, there was some rumor and speculation thrown out this past offseason that maybe Cloud9 was going to look to move on from Blabber. Now, this was before they ended up getting out of groups at Worlds. Maybe that changed some things for people because that had kind of been a black eye for Blabber for a while. The fact that, he hadn't really had a great international performance yet. The fact that they kind of struggled in Summer Split the last 2 years. They almost didn't make it to Worlds again. If Cloud9 would not have made it to Worlds, there's a real possibility Blabber could have been gone. If they wouldn't have made it out of groups, maybe Blabber could have been gone. But again, they pulled it out against TSM. They ended up getting out of groups. They do get the job done. But does LS, what is the truth? What does LS actually believe? Does he actually believe in Blabber and think he can be the best? Is he just saying that because he's his head coach now? Was he just saying that for content and kind of, exaggeration before? Because that's a very, very real thing. At the end of the day, believe it or not, content creators exaggerate sometimes. Content creators say things to get clips like that sometimes. So it's going to be interesting. What does LS really think about Blabber? If Blabber comes out and has a rough 2022, is LS going to be wanting to move on from him? Are they going to be looking at other junglers? Is this potentially bad news for Blabber that LS is the head coach of Cloud9? Or is it great news for Blabber that he has a coach that's willing to work with him, that believes he can be the best Western jungler in the best jungler in the West? I don't know what I was trying to say, but the best jungler in the West, despite the fact that, just 6 months ago, he didn't think he was that good. He sees the talent and potential in him. I don't know, but either way, it's very, very interesting on both sides, and the clip was just really, really funny now watching it again under this new kind of pretext or whatever. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Tell me, drop a like if you did enjoy it. I would appreciate it so much. Leave a comment down below. What do you think about this whole LS Blabber stuff? Is this good news for Blabber, bad news for Blabber? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe, save today, and all my latest content. Hope to catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.